Macca's Guides.
Hey guys, Macca here, playing Rise of the Tomb Raider. In this video, I'll be showing you the Prophet's Tomb, which is the first tomb. It's been shown a little bit in some previous videos. This is going to be the full walkthrough from the very beginning to the very end of the tomb, showing exactly what some of the mechanics are in the game. I'm going to be talking about certain things that show up as they show up and explaining them as in-depth as I can go. I've made sure to take out all the cinematics as to not spoil any of the story, but obviously there are some gameplay spoilers here, so you'll want to keep that in mind if you're watching this video before launch. Also, if you're watching this video on the same day it's uploaded to YouTube, I will be streaming it over on twitch.tv/Macca91Productions if you're interested in having a more in-depth look. Now, this footage is from the final release of the game. You'll want to keep that in mind. There are some subtle and minor changes from some of the gameplay demos you might have seen earlier on in the year when this game was shown at Gamescom in August. Also, most notably, there will be parts of the tomb that are shown in this video that weren't shown earlier in the year, especially near the end of the video. Now, this takes place relatively early on in the game, and because of that, there are certain things that will be kind of tutorial based that happen in this tomb that won't happen in other tombs. Now, I'm playing this in the replay a challenge mode from the main menu. You can replay the tombs in that sense, or you can just go back and revisit them in the actual game. Now, because I'm replaying it, there are some things that will happen on screen that might not happen when you're playing it for the first time, but I do have challenges on screen. For example, I'll be trying to do this without dying. Unfortunately, I end up dying. You can also try to speedrun the tombs and different things to score different challenges when replaying certain missions. And then you can also have side objectives that will show up during your main playthrough that won't show up during your kind of replay. As we enter inside the tomb, we'll notice that there's this large room with a giant monolith in the middle. Now, you won't actually be able to read that monolith because it's in Greek and Laura doesn't know any Greek. So what we need to do is actually go around the room, and I'll be showing you that. We're looking at some of these inspectable kind of ancient Greek parts of the tomb, and she's learning Greek as she's inspecting it. I'm looking at the monolith. She's unable to read it. If I look at everything in the room, I'm going to raise my level of competence in Greek and then be able to read that monolith, and that monolith will reveal certain things about the map that I can then use to kind of find certain hidden objects that I wouldn't be able to find unless I decoded that monolith. So you won't see it in the top left of the screen, but when you're playing this for the first time, you're building up your Greek, and once you reach a certain level, you can start reading those monoliths, and that's what you're going to need to do in order to read the first monolith. If you don't and you skip it, you'll kind of miss a few extra little things here and there that are scattered around the level that might help you progress further on more quickly and kind of buy better stuff as you progress. So as I run around this kind of beginning part of the tomb, this isn't actually the full tomb quite yet. I'll let you guys listen into some of the in-game audio for a few minutes, and I'll rejoin you back once we get a little bit closer to the actual entrance.
They're after the tomb. I've got to find it before them. My Greek is still a little rusty, but it's pointing to something hidden nearby. I'll mark down the locations. A secret entrance. It's amazing. If only Dad could have seen this. Oh no. They're already here. Got to get inside.
the Order of Trinity pursued the Prophet and his people relentlessly until finally confronting them in their hidden oasis.
A way through. Damn it. Come on.
So we've now made our way into the main part of the Prophet's tomb. We're told to explore and figure out what exactly we can do here. We're not really given too much information. We're kind of just made to fend for ourselves and figure out what we should be doing. Now, one thing you'll notice is that if you click in the stick, it sends out a little bit of a sonar ping. Everything kind of mutes down in color, and certain things will flash in like an orangey yellow tint, and those are basically inspectable things, and they can range from a wide variety of things to documents like I just picked up, certain types of caches, or things that'll help you craft, or you can find certain pieces of art that'll help you raise your level in that language. You can find a wide variety of things, and pinging is going to be an integral part to finding certain collectibles, coins, and whatever it is that you need in order to kind of get further and further in the game, do better, buy better stuff, and craft the stuff you want to use. So you've probably also noticed there are traps. Tombs come with traps. That's pretty much a standard for Tomb Raider games, and hopefully it remains a standard, as there weren't too many traps I think in the last one from what I've heard. But this tomb comes littered with traps. Some of them will kill you immediately, while others are kind of necessary in order to progress further and further into the tomb. Now, there's a whole bunch of puzzles, and that's kind of primarily what tombs are about, are puzzles. You'll be solving a wide variety of different types of puzzles in order to get further and further into the tomb. For this example, we actually had to raise the water level in order to get the platform to be high enough to make the jump into the next area. You saw that I just completed a challenge. Again, it's because I'm replaying the tomb. If you're doing it for the first time, challenges aren't that, they don't show up on screen, and they're not as invasive as that one just was. Here we just got our foot stuck in a trap, and we're going to have to escape. I'm going to let you listen to the in-game audio because I think it's worth it.
Stunning. We made it, Dad.
We've now made it into the kind of center area of the tomb, very reminiscent of how the older Tomb Raiders would have functioned. And basically, there's going to be a wide variety of kind of ways you can try to tackle everything. You're going to want to explore, look through the level, see what interferes with what, how different things interact with other things, and exactly where you're going to want to go. Again, they're pretty lenient on telling you what exactly you need to do. They're kind of open-ended, and you kind of have to just try to figure it out for yourself based on what makes sense and what's accessible to you at that current moment. Here, I can obviously tell that we're trying to raise the water level, and we're going to have to raise the water level in multiple stages to get to the next part of the kind of phase that will raise the water level yet again. I'll kind of explain that again in the next series of puzzles. But basically, you can't just arbitrarily go around and kind of randomly try to raise the water level of random things. You're going to have to do it in a certain sequence that makes sense based on how the puzzles are laid out. Now, as we're approaching this area here, I'm going to shoot a little collectible thing. It's going to fall. You won't see any on-screen indicator, but there's actually kind of mini side quests that are going to be happening as you're going through the tomb. So right here, you'll see me shoot this down. If you're playing this in the main mission, you will have a small counter show up in the bottom left-hand corner. That's going to show you 1 out of 7, then 2 out of 7 when I just shot down that second one. I'm going to actually shoot down a third one that would have been 3 out of 7, and there's even 4, 5, 6, and like I said, 7 of them, obviously. I do know where all of them are. I'm not going to be shooting all of them, as I don't think it would be a good use of my time right now in the video. But if you shoot all of them, it's kind of like a bonus objective. It gives you a little bit of extra points and extra score when going for some of the high scores in some of the tombs. Now, in front of me, there is a floor trap. I'm going to fall through it on purpose in order to show you guys a death. Thought it was pretty cool, pretty gruesome, and I thought it was worth showing. Now, as soon as you do die, which you'll probably do a couple times in every tomb, the game will automatically load your last checkpoint. Loading times literally about 2 seconds, which is pretty good. Now, you'll see this booby trap on the ground. You can't actually shoot it or disable it this early on in the game, so you'll have to walk forward and shoot both of the traps coming at you as fast as possible. Now, this next puzzle is another example of what I said earlier, where you can't just arbitrarily get lucky with some of these puzzles. You actually have to figure them out. So this puzzle, I noticed that there's this board swinging. I'm going to shoot it down, and I noticed that when I jumped on the platform directly in front of me, it raised the water level. First, I'm going to use my ping and find out that there's some coins. Those are going to be pretty useful for me later on. So I noticed that when I jumped on this platform, the water raised, and then I noticed that I shot down this platform and it would come here. So I saw that on that little platform there's a little thing, and those white marks typically mean that you can kind of shimmy up the side of the wall. You can do an extra jump off that wall. So that's what I figured I had to do, but unfortunately I wasn't getting enough height, which means that there wasn't enough water in that pool beforehand. So what I did was I went back up here, and I noticed that there was a wall across the gap, and I was going to have to get that wall first. Now, obviously, because this is the first tomb in the early stages of the game, some of these puzzles are quite obvious, and they're very intuitive, and they kind of show you the ropes of how some of the physics and stuff works in the game, and they're kind of guiding you along the way and teaching you little breadcrumbs about how the game's going to function, more so than trying to throw you an instant, hard and tough time of trying to figure them out. I'll let you guys listen into some in-game audio now. So once we finally reach our main objective, which is kind of that centerpiece of the tomb where you would find the hidden treasure, cinematic happens. I'm going to cut that out for spoiler warnings, but we're given our first taste of gunplay, which I will let you guys listen into. There's going to be a very action-packed sequence right after. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.